that was my comment on it. It's amazing how little pressure it's had the last couple of years that I've noticed, because people think that the whirling disease has wiped it out or something, and that's what I believe. And I've had some days on Reynolds Pass, like when I was a kid, where I could walk all the way from the Reynolds Pass Bridge down to the $3 Bridge and back up and maybe see 4 or 5 other anglers. And I'm going to be on that on Tuesday, so I'm pretty excited about that. Any other questions?
The bear story.
Oh, the bear story. Well, the bear story is a pretty fun one. My wife and I, actually in 1986, between our junior year and senior year of college, decided to work in Yellowstone Park. And we worked up at Tower Falls, which is the northeast corner. There are more grizzly bears in that area than any other part of the park. She was the cook for all the staff that worked down in the retail store at Tower Falls. And I scooped ice cream. And I'd scoop ice cream again next year if I could afford to, because I was 4 miles from Slough Creek. I could hike down into Yellowstone Canyon right there from where I worked. So I fished Slough Creek almost every day that year. It was one of the best years of my life. But working in that store scooping ice cream, sometimes we'd have like 6 bus loads we'd pull up, and you'd be ready to shoot yourself. I mean, my forearm, I'm a skinny guy, my forearm, I probably could have knocked somebody out with a single punch. And sometimes I wanted to, but won't customer service. But my wife also, she had some tough times too. She'd be up there, she'd cook for everybody, and then somebody wouldn't show up to work, so she'd have to go down to the store and work at the gift shop. So by the time our 2 days off came, we wanted to run for the hills. And one day, we were frequently driving to Madison or to Henry's Fork or going to the upper meadows of Slough Creek. She said, for once, can we not fish this weekend? And I hesitated, and then I realized I was going to die or I was going to take a weekend off from fishing. So we decided we were going to hike up this magnificent place called Specimen's Bridge, right there by Tower Falls. And we had heard of some other people that had hiked up there in previous years. And everybody was waiting to get up to Specimen's Bridge. There was too much snow, though. And the idea was the first people up there, got to really enjoy it more than anybody else before it got crowded. So she said, we're going to Specimen's Bridge. She says, I just talked the place out of the 2 biggest, most beautiful steaks that they have in the fridge. She said, it's okay, we can take them. Got potatoes, get food, grab your sleeping bag, get the camping stuff, and we're going to head up Specimen's Bridge. So we got off work at 5 o'clock that night. And this is June, probably the first week of July, so it gets dark at 10:30 at night. And we figured we had time to do the 6-mile hike up there. So we parked the car, and we started up the trailhead. And like most husband-wife combos, I was always like a couple hundred yards ahead of her. And they'd be like, wait for me! I'd have to stop, and I'd wait. She'd catch up, and then I'd start going again. She said, no. You got a chance to rest, now we're going to rest. I'm like, we've got to really get up there before dark. I don't want to be setting up camp in the dark in Yellowstone Park with bears and this and that and that and this. And being a young, back then, probably 19 years old, I wasn't too concerned about bears. I've got a lot smarter in my old age. But I would head off, and this kept on happening. Well, about 8:30 at night, I realized that we really are going to be pushing it as far as getting our camp set up in daylight. And I came over this ridge, and I could finally see about a mile ahead where we were going to camp. Problem was, we were too early. There was quite a bit of snow. So I kept on going. Finally, she got up and said, listen, I'm going to grab the tent, grab all the stuff. I literally left it without a backpack. Took 2 backpacks. And I said, I'm going to go up there and get camp set up. So I took off. She was just a dot in the distance. In fact, I got over her rise, I couldn't even see her. And I came to this beautiful bowl, and I started going into snow. And the problem was, I'd go like 5 feet, and then I'd fall through, post hole. Then I'd walk in the crust again, I'd fall through again. And I said, boy, she ain't going to like this, so I got to make sure I get ahead so I don't even have to hear her hollering at me. And I got right to the base of this magnificent cliff, and there actually was a place where the sun had been hitting, and there was a little bit of an angle, so it was dirt. And that was my goal, to get there and set up the tent. And about 300 feet above me was kind of a little crest, and we didn't have to go up there. But I look up, and I was mortified to see a grizzly cub runs up to the edge and looks down at me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's not good. And then here comes another one. And very rare for a grizzly bear to have 3 cubs, but a 3rd cub comes up and looks at me. I'm like, oh no. They're like 300 feet above me. So I'm not even going to set up. I mean, I literally turn around and I start walking and post holing again. And I don't even want to look over my shoulder, but I do. I look up over my shoulder again. And sure enough, there's Mama. And she lets out like the weirdest sniff, like she was just smelling the air. And then she was on two legs, and then she hits the deck hard as she can, just like an earthquake. Boom, you know, on all fours. And the cubs took off out of sight. Then she disappeared. And I said, my heart was beating. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. And I'm still heading, you know, through the snow. I just want to get out. I just can't even wait to see Granny. And I'm like, guess what? We're not camping here. We're walking back to the car tonight. Hope we get a headlight. So I'm scared of the bear and her. And I'm right in the middle. Well, unfortunately, I look back up again the second time. And not only is the bear back, but she lets out, gets on her two legs again, lets out this big sniff, just, and then hits the ground and starts coming full speed down the hill. And I'm like, I'm dead. I am definitely dead. But when bears run down hills, they're not that fast. But when curriers running across the snow that's, you know, waist deep falling through, I'm not that fast either. So I'd run like 5 feet, I'd fall and smash my head down. I'd get up, run another 5 feet, fall, smash my head down. This bear that was like 300 feet away 4 seconds ago is now from like me to the projector. I mean, the miracle is, it's a good-sized bear, and as she's coming at me, she would fall also. And when she fell, it was like falling in quicksand, so she'd be trying to dig her way out. Now, we were at above 9,000 feet, so there's not any trees. Hardly any trees, but there were these decrepit little trees that, you know, maybe as high as where my D end is here. And I'm about 20 feet from one. I'm just like, oh my God, I better get to that tree and figure something out. I'm not even thinking about it. Granny comes over the top. She's going to be grass. But one thing I know to do is if you are getting chased by a bear, throw some stuff on the ground because they will stop. So first thing I did is I threw my hat, and that was an amazing sight as the bear grabbed my hat and shredded it in one bite. Then I had that second backpack, which luckily I was just holding over my shoulder. It wasn't on me, and I dropped that, and now I'm at the base of the tree, and she's like halfway now, and she actually stopped because that had the stakes. And she stopped and stuck her nose in that thing and just kind of shook it around, which gave me just enough to grab the first branch in the tree, and I started pulling myself up the tree. And then all of a sudden, I felt it. That bear was pulling on my leg as hard as I'm pulling on yours. Sorry. I'm sure I'll pay dearly for that one throughout the day. Anyhow, let's take a little break, and I think we're going to do the Jackson Hole Show at 10:30, and there'll be a lot of different stuff, a lot of cool stuff again.